Agents podcast.
Okay, LabCoatAgents, we are back for another episode of the LabCoatAgents podcast. And I'm excited today to bring a non-industry leader, an entrepreneur, a speaker, a trainer, a business builder, a leadership expert to the podcast. And we were just talking off camera, off recording about how it's relatable to real estate. So before you stop and think, oh, well, this isn't the real estate person, why should I listen? There's a lot of reason why you should listen, because we're talking to a gentleman who was trained and mentored by world-renowned leader John Maxwell. And this gentleman has grown open businesses in the physical therapy clinic arena, has sold multiple businesses. Within 5 years of starting his businesses, they were billing over $2 million a year from one location, and then went on to open other locations. And he's going to share a lot of these stories today, how they relate, how you can shift your mindset to become an influencer, how you can become world famous. I'm excited to talk deeper about that. And just building the cultures of leadership and how to grow your business. Because remember, folks, as a realtor, you got into this business because either one of two reasons. One, you want to grow a business. You want to grow a business to where you can be independent and where you can live the life that you want to live. Or maybe you got into real estate just because you want to be an entrepreneur, because you want to control your schedule. Well, listen, you need to listen to Cory Lee today, because he is going to tell you about his journey, what he's done, and how you can apply it to your business. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Cory Lee.
Jeff, man, thanks for having me. I'm excited about digging in with you guys, and just excited to be here and excited to share hopefully some wisdom, maybe some experience. Some of that experience wasn't fun to gain, so maybe some of this experience will help your listeners there. And just excited to dig in, man.
I'm excited, man. I mean, selfishly, I say this all the time. As the host of the podcast, I'm the lucky guy. I get to interview, I get to ask the questions, I get to meet these people, all of our guests, digitally for the most part. And so, if the worst thing that comes to this is I gain a bunch, well, you know what? Then it wasn't a loss, right? This is going to be fun, though. So, Cory, first of all, you have a pretty thick accent there. Tell our listeners about where you're from, where you come from. Let's not get into baseball talk because you root for a bad team. And then kind of how, your upbringing in business and what you've done over the years.
Yeah, well, so I am from Mississippi originally. That's where we live at now. We've lived in several different locations, and including Phoenix, Arizona. And you try to cover this up. I try to cover it up, Jeff, and it doesn't work. People say, "You're not from around here, are you?" So I just go with it, and I find it actually allows people to be approachable to me. So I am from Mississippi, and like you were saying, my background is as an entrepreneur. My wife and I, in a 5-year period of time, we had 3 kids, but we also built and sold 4 gyms and 2 physical therapy clinics. And that's kind of my background. And we transitioned out. I do now speaking and coaching and training and invest in real estate. We're also working on a real estate development here in the North Mississippi area. And that's kind of where I am now. But, I think to fully understand where somebody is now, kind of understand their journey, and part of my journey was I had a hard time with lack of confidence. And if you're growing a business, at some level you have to have some confidence, right? And that includes growing a real estate business as well. But I grew up, I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. My dad, he left when I was about 3, and he took a note and he wrote on this note and he taped it to the door of our single wide trailer that he was moving to Chicago. I know that the team I root for, like you're saying, the Cubs, and he said that my mom now got the opportunity to raise a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old on her own. But she wasn't on her own. She had my grandmother. And, I can still, Jeff, I can still hear my grandmother to this day. She would say, these two grandbaby boys of mine, they ain't growing up to be no sissies. They ain't growing up to be no sissies. And she'd say, boys, get out here. And we'd get up and we'd walk through her house, and she would have her car jacked up with the driver's side tire laid over and say, pick it up and put it back on. And I'm like 5 trying to lift this tire, and I can't even pick it up, right? We'd be in her bathroom with a plunger hovered over the toilet trying to unclog this unclogged toilet. There's nothing wrong with the toilet. And, she was living out that old John Wooden quote, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare, right? And she wanted us to be ready for when that tire was flat. She wanted us to be ready for when that toilet was clogged up. But, our environment, there's a quote out there that says we are all tattooed in the crib with the culture of our tribe. And in my environment, I was raised and programmed to believe certain things. I was programmed to believe things about you and your listeners, and I was programmed to believe things about me and my potential and what I could and could not do, right? And we had some sayings, and some of those sayings kind of held me back, like, you don't take risk. It's better to be safe than it is to be sorry. But really, Jeff, the one that affected me the most, that I think, as I share this, I hope it's going to help your listeners, because it really held me back in business, was stay humble. And that's a great saying. That's a great saying. But the problem is when you have the wrong definition of what humility is. And see, I thought humility was thinking other people were better than me and thinking less of myself. And because of that, I lacked a lot of self-confidence. And it wasn't really until I heard Adrian Rogers talk about humility. And he said, humility is a form of rebellion, right? Humility is a form of rebellion. He says, most of us, we have these gifts and these talents. And a lot of us, when we start to let those gifts and talents shine, that we call that arrogance. But he said, that's not arrogance. That's awareness. And the moment you step in and you don't bring that forward, the moment you step in, you decide to hold back and settle for something less because you're having a sense of humility, then that's rebellion against the gifts that God has freely given you. And, hearing that, I've changed my definition of humility, and I've recognized the gifts and talents that I have. And I share that with you and your listeners because every single one of us on this call have our own unique gifts and talents. And this world needs your ideas. They need your talents. There are customers out there that you're the only voice that they're going to listen to. And when we don't step into that, we not only rob ourselves, we rob the world of something great. So that kind of that mindset shift has really helped me in growing my business. So that's a little bit about my journey there.
I love it. So, and I want to go back to something that you said, but I first want to ask you a couple of questions. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was that whole preparation thing, like changing the tire, like unclogging a non-clogged toilet, right? But I think there's some relevance there, and I just want to mention this, and then we'll go back to it later, because as a real estate agent, like I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of people get into this business for the wrong reasons, and those are one or two of the reasons. Usually, the reason is, I can control my own schedule, and therefore they get the result of that mindset, which is they have no discipline, or they don't know where to go, or they have no preparation, or they go through this roller coaster ride in the real estate world of seasonality, right? Because right now everybody's busy, and I'm hearing it all the time. And the biggest mistake most real estate professionals make is, I'm super busy, so I vacate all the things I did to get me to the point of busyness. Or, they're not thinking ahead that, okay, this busyness is going to slow down after kids go back to school, or kids are being homeschooled again, right? And, all of a sudden seasonality comes of the fall and the winter, and they're not preparing. So I want to go back to that, but while we're on kind of your history, I want you to go a little bit deeper on, what you've done. So that was kind of, yours was more of a deep background of what you've done. But what about, talk about, your experience with John Maxwell, first of all. I think that's interesting. Also, tell us a little bit more about the physical therapy clinics, the gyms, all that kind of stuff. I'm interested to learn a little bit more about that and how you got to that point.
Yeah. So I am a physical therapist assistant. My wife's a PT, and, I had graduated. She was still in college, and it was kind of we'd be driving around town and we would say, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own physical therapy clinic? I mean, wouldn't that be cool? And, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if this physical therapy clinic also had a gym with it, to where people, we're not only doing physical therapy, but we're really doing like cultural transformation where people are staying healthy. And we just kind of opened up. We went to a town of 1,100 people, 1,100, right? 1,100. And we opened up this physical therapy clinic. We had zero business experience, zero business knowledge, but we had a vision. And I think that's important too for your listeners, is having a vision and a direction of where you're wanting to go and a why, because there are going to be difficult moments. There's going to be tough times. There are going to be days you just don't feel like it. You're going to be dealing with difficult customers. And if you don't know why you're doing it, and if that why is not strong enough, then you're probably going to give in and kind of go back to doing whatever, or your business isn't going to flourish. But we really wanted to try to create a culture of change within our community. And in about 3 years period of time, we built that small little PT clinic up. And like I said, in 5 years, that one PT clinic was billing out over $2 million a year in a town of 1,100 people. And I kind of reflect back on that. Again, starting out, a lot of it was just out of ignorance and a drive for a dream. But as I dig into that, what causes that growth? Because, success leaves clues, right? And as you reflect back and you kind of dig into your experience isn't the greatest teacher, but evaluated experience is, right? And as I look into that, I think what we did was we tried to be heavily engaged with the community, but every single person that we came in contact with, we tried to make that person feel special, right? Like we tried to treat that person as the next greatest thing, right? Like each person, we tried to really be intentional about adding value to them. And as I dig in, I think that is a key for us. And I work with real estate agents, and I work with brokerages, and I tell them, every single person you come in contact with, that receptionist that you talk to, that attorney that you talk to, that's an opportunity to turn an individual you come in contact with into a raving fan, and that's how your business grows. That's how you set a foundation. And so that's kind of part of that. And as we transitioned out, I knew I wanted to help leaders. I knew I wanted to help people build businesses and realize their dreams. So I was a fan of John Maxwell, and I love his values-based leadership and his application, and just became a part of his team and dove into being mentored and trained by him and his staff, and been absolutely incredible, right? And the growth I've seen in just a short period of time, I almost have to have a telescope to see how far I've come, but investing in your own growth is important as well to your business. So
I love that. That's important to share as well, because again, so very applicable. If you go interview, 10, you go find 10 of the highest producing real estate agents or real estate professionals, there's going to be a common theme with all 10 of them. And all 10 of them are probably coached. All 10 of them probably have multiple coaches. And, they invest in themselves. They invest in their business. What would you say, again, coming from an outsider looking in, I think that one of the biggest hurdles for just any sales professional of any kind is, well, I can't afford it. I can't afford coaching until I sell some homes. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is they may not sell some homes or get to that level unless they take a chance and take that risk and invest in the right coaching. What would you say to someone that kind of has that mindset?
Yeah, I would say that growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to be better, right? So we have 3 kids, and our oldest son, he's in the 3rd grade, and I'm doing math homework with him, right? And I'm doing this math homework, and I was like, man, I remember learning this stuff in high school, right? And they're learning this stuff in 3rd grade. And I share that with you because if you're not growing, it's not like you're standing still. You are getting left behind because things are constantly changing. And one of the things I knew about our business and when we were doing our physical therapy clinic is that my business would never exceed my ability to lead it, right? Like I was the lid on my business. But if I would grow, then the potential of my business would grow as well. And that is exactly what happened. I think in investing in yourself is the greatest investment you can make, especially in the real estate world, right? It is investing in you, because there's so many things. I think a lot of people get into real estate. You and I were talking because you can control your schedule. Well, you've got to control your schedule, right? It's very difficult once you become a solopreneur or out on your own. It's easy to get that schedule off track, and taking that control back is very important. I would say, investing in yourself is one of the best things that you can do. And for me too, I have a coach. I am a coach, but I have a coach, right? And I enjoy my coach because it's helped me grow. It's been well worth the investment. Yeah.
I love it. And again, it's something that, I've always believed in that rule of 5, that it's the old saying of you are the sum of the people that you spend the most time with. And it's usually 5, right? So for me, I always, I tell people all the time, I'm trading up, not because I'm better than someone, but once I've gotten the value that I can get out of it, I'm always looking to just level it up another notch. And if I can surround myself and get, some guidance from people that are smarter than me and more successful than me and more experienced than me, I'm going to do it all day long. And the one common thread that I find with some of these people, and I'm fortunate, and I guess I'm fortunate because I make my fortune, but at the same token, I'm fortunate in the sense that I get to hang out with, billionaires, and lots of millionaires and some billionaires. And it's like, I feel this big in those rooms, right? But it's what drives me and makes me better. And the one thing I'm constantly learning from these people is they're constantly learning. It's like they're never at the pinnacle. They never reach the peak. They're always searching for more knowledge. And so how you kind of use your time as a real estate agent, because another thing you hear all the time from real estate agents, or it's just sales professionals in general, same in mortgage, I'm so busy. Well, are you? Are you, or are you actually fortunate to where you actually have more time? You don't have to clock in and clock out. You can get up earlier in the morning. You can stay up later at night. You can do whatever the heck you want to do. It's how you use your time. So I don't know. Do you have anything to share with that?
Yeah, man, that was great. I love what you said right there. And here's what I found too. I'm with you, man. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room, those kind of things. And you are the average of top 5 people you hang around with. And what I have found, there are a lot of people that may be skeptical to that, right? But here's what I found is you don't know what you don't know, right? And as you start hanging out with people who are operating at a higher level of awareness, you start to become aware of what's possible. And when you operate at a higher level of awareness, you see opportunities and you see options that you never would have been aware of if you hadn't. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I think that's a great point there. And trying to find people that are next step up, that's great.
Yeah. And since we're on that topic and, we're all over the place here in a way, which I told you was just usually the case on this podcast. We just take it down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But what would be your advice to someone who's sitting there saying, well, I'm in my circle, which is, I'm in the neighborhood that I'm in because that's just kind of the way I was brought up. That's where I belong, right? And the people I spend time with are the people that are in the same income level as me because that's just where I belong, and that's just my comfort zone. How do you train somebody? Because when you're talking to successful people think like you and I. Like there is no barrier, right? You seek it, you find it, you go get it. But I think there's far fewer in that mentality. And there's a lot of people sitting there thinking to themselves, well, how do I get there? How do I approach that person? How do I even get an opportunity to approach that person? What would you say to something like that?
Yeah, I would say a couple of things. One, I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they think they have to leave those 5, right? Like you don't have to leave those 5. You're not leaving them behind. You can still hang out with them, right? But you're trying to grow and be a part of other higher level, right? What I've also found, you're talking about billionaires and high level people. I found overall they're nice people, and they've got a ton of information that they will give away for free if people will just ask, right? And I found that they're very approachable. And the other thing that I would say too is I think, we can either feed our fear or feed our faith or feed our fear, right? And people are afraid to cross that invisible line to go into the unknown because they like the comfort zone, which you're talking about. But here's the thing, that comfort zone is not really comfortable. It's just familiar, right? We're familiar with it. And if we really assessed it, it's probably not that comfortable. And if we really want to take it up a notch, you're always going to have to constantly be doing and trying new things and meeting new people. And generally, again, I found that most people are nice and most people are freely open to give information and how they did what they did to get to where they are,
Yeah, that's a great, I think to summarize what Cory just said is don't be afraid to approach that person. So if you're at, let's just assume we get back to networking events or even digitally, just reaching out to people on social media. People are so accessible, more so now than ever, that don't be afraid. So I know not everybody's going to feel comfortable doing that. And you you reminded me of a great quote or a great line that I love, which is comfort is the enemy of achievement. And it totally is. Like if you're comfortable, you're not going to go anywhere. You're probably just going to stay stagnant. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're talking to people who want more, who want to achieve more. And I think that's most of you. And if you do, well, then, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you shoot an email or a direct message or, or comment on someone's post or approach them at an event? What's the worst that's going to happen? Right? You just maybe get ignored, and maybe you get told no, maybe no is no response. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. But if you do that enough times, and Cory, you're right. Surprisingly, those people are far more approachable than you actually realize. You're scared because of what's in your head, not for any other reason. It's just because you feel like they're on another level, therefore they won't talk to you. But that's not true at all, because they all started where you are. And that's why most successful people, I always say most, because there are some a-holes out there. But most, and I've found this, are super approachable. And like not even approachable, like they want to give back because somebody gave to them. And now it's a reciprocal thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I love it. Well, let's get into some of your topics. And one of them is, the mindset shifts of an influencer. Walk us through what is that even about? The mindset shifts of an influencer. And it even says here, the AKA, that the type of person others willfully follow.
Yeah.
So two things I want to ask there. One, what the heck are you talking about? Two, why is it so important, especially in sales, to become an influencer?
Yeah, well, when I think of influencer, we can go to my friend Google and you can type it in and you'll get a million definitions. And the way I define an influencer is becoming the type of person or becoming the type of leader that other people willfully follow because of who you are and what you represent, right? And that's what a leader is someone that other people want to follow. And it's important in sales, right? Too, you want people to want to buy from you, right? You don't want to be forcing them. And I think it's important. So what I found is there's some mindsets that limit us from becoming that. And one of them is a comparison mindset. We like to compare ourselves to other people. Right. We'll say, we'll get into the real estate world and we'll say, well, I'm not like Jeff. Jeff's awesome. I can't be like Jeff. Right. Or at least I'm better than that Cory Lee guy. At least I'm not like him. Right. And we compare ourselves to other people. But Jeff, I had a mentor tell me one time, he said, Cory, when you get to heaven, God isn't going to ask you why you weren't more like Mother Teresa. He's going to ask you, why weren't you more like you? Why weren't you more like the Cory Lee I designed and created you to be? And I think that's one part of it, this comparison mindset. But the shift that we need to make is from comparing ourselves to other people and ourselves to our potential. And I think the bigger trap is we compare ourselves, right? You're talking about the comfort zone. We compare ourselves to our current results, right? We'll have this big idea, this inspired idea. This year, I'm going to do 15 million in real estate, right? Maybe you've only done 5. right? And you get this inspired idea, and you look at this idea, and you look at your current results, and you say, ooh, man, I've never done that before, Jeff. I ain't never done that, right? That's too big. But let me ask you, if you're in your car or if you're in a room, is the room you're in, is that room big or small? And you think about that. And really the question is compared to what, right? If I compare my room to the bathroom downstairs, this room's kind of big. Mm-hmm. If I compare it to an arena, this room's kind of small, right? The room did not change. The height, the width, the dimensions, none of that changed. But what I compared it to changed. So the room just is. The same with this inspired goal, this inspired idea. It's not big or small, it just is. And when we compare it to our current results and we say that doesn't match, it's not going to match, right? Our current results are coming from our past performance, and this inspired idea is coming from our future potential. So stop comparing ourselves to other people and our current results and compare it to our potential. And within that, I think the question is, people will look at the big how of it, right? Like, this is a big 15. I've never done that before. Well, what's at least one thing you can do, right? What's at least one thing you know right now? You've got a goal, you've got a vision. What's at least one thing you know you could do today? And if you did that today, that it would kick the can down the road, right? What's at least one thing you can do? And when I do kind of this training live with people, and a lot of times in real estate agents, I'll ask them, like, I want you to write down the five things that you know that if you did these 5 things, that it would take you towards your goal, right? Day in and day out. And I challenge them, and I'll challenge you guys too, to write down 5 tasks you know that if you did those, it would take you to where you wanted to go for the next 14 days in a row. I want you to do at least one of those for 14 days in a row. And if you miss a day, you get the opportunity to start all the way back over, right? But for 14 days in a row, do at least one of those. And there's a twofold reason to that, Jeff. And one is, obviously, it's going to take you to where you want to be, right? You're going to develop some habits. But you're going to become aware of the talking monkey in your head that's been holding you back this whole time. You're going to see the habits that are holding you back. You're going to become aware of the thing and the words and the sayings you are telling yourself that is holding you back in probably every area of your life, because how we do anything is how we do everything. So I just want to challenge your listeners to do that. And that's one of the mindset shifts. And there's other ones, but I don't want to take up all of our time, but
I like it. I like it. Well, let me ask you a question. So when you do that, what is, so some people might be sitting there thinking to themselves, well, I don't even know what to put on the list because I struggle with what I should be doing. So give us an example of something that you see that's pretty common, but also pretty effective in terms of that one of the 5 things they should be putting on their list and doing for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. So one of the things I would tell you is let's take a step back. One, where do you want to go, right? First, getting clear on where you want to go. And I found that is the biggest issue people have, is they don't know what they want. If you can tell me what you want, I can help you get there, right? But it's a hard question. So step number 1 is find out where you want to go. And then the things that you know that would take you where you want to be, right? Like, call 5 people every day. Do some pop buys. Go by, see this person this day. Follow up with this person. Write a thank you note. 5 thank you notes a day, right? Those are just some things I've seen other people do. But there are some things that you know that work for you that you could do, and you could take action on those, and they would take you where you want to be. But another thing you'll find is if you just kind of mind dump, right? Like, write a whole list down and pick out the top 5. That'll help too, because what people tend to do is they spend their time on things that are unimportant, right? And if you can write that list down and get clear on the most important things, the 80-20 rule, right? Mm-hmm. There's 20% of the things that give you 80% of your results. If you can figure that out, that'll help you as well. And kind of sidetrack here, 3 questions I think are important to ask yourself that'll help you identify the areas that you need to spend the time on, and the task that you need to spend your time on. Because a lot of our tasks that we do are irrelevant, really. So one is you write down all the responsibilities you have, all the things that you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to call X amount of people. I'm supposed to get paperwork done, all this stuff, right? And ask yourself these 3 questions. They're called the 3 R's. 1, what is required of me? What's required of me? Like only I can do that. I cannot delegate it. I can't hire it out. But what's the thing that only I can do? And as a real estate agent, that's probably showing and closing, right? Maybe there's some paperwork that's a responsibility, but it's maybe not required of you. Maybe it could be delegated or hired out. The next question is, what is the greatest return? What's my greatest return? And when I say that, what are you good at? Like, what are you really good at? Some of you are really good at negotiating. Some of you are really good at, showing houses. Some of you are really good at the admin type work. But what are you really good at? And spend your time there. And then the last one, what is most rewarding? Like, what do you like? You got into real estate because there was something about it that intrigued you. There's something you like about it. What is most rewarding to you? What do you enjoy the most? So asking yourself those 3 questions and staying in those 3 will help you as well.
I love it, man. I love it. I think that's an excellent exercise right there. So everybody listening, you should pause, write that down, ask yourself the 3 questions, then do the brain dump, come up with those 5 things and challenge yourself. I love that, by the way, because I'm a fitness guy, and I actually have Facebook groups built around fitness challenges and things like that. And so we always have fun doing that. And what I've found is on a fitness and diet level is, and I know it applies in business, is why I did it in the first place. When you do that with yourself, when you set up those challenges, you challenge yourself. The way we're wired as humans is to accomplish that goal, right? But as a result of accomplishing that goal is you're creating habits. And you said it. I mean, it's exactly why you do it. I guess my question would be, is 14 days enough? A lot of people say it's, once you do something for 90 days, it becomes habit. What is your thought on that?
Yeah. No, I don't think 14 days is enough to develop a habit. I actually saw something the other day. People say, 24 or 30 days to develop a habit or something like that.
I think it's longer than that. If you're asking.
And what I'd heard the researchers say is actually 3 cycles of that. If it's 30 days, it's actually 3 cycles of that. But the point of the 14 days in a row is the in a row part, right? It is becoming aware of the habits that prevent you from taking action on what you should do and what you said you're committed to doing. That's kind of the point, is increasing that awareness. And when you do that, and when I work with people on this, it's not about self-judgment either, right? It's about awareness. So if you do find, like me, I've done this multiple times, and about day 7 or 8, I fall off the wagon. But I've identified the excuses that I tell myself that sound like legitimate excuses, but they're excuses, and that'll hold me back. And now I'm aware of that, right? But I was never aware of it until I did this exercise. So to answer your question, no, it's much more than 14 days, but that 14 days in a row is to gain awareness.
So then what do you do when you get to that point where you fall off that wagon, that 7th or 8th day or day 2? I mean, different people are going to have different results. What do you do? What is your advice to someone?
Yeah. My advice is be kind to yourself. You're going to have that same talking monkey that held you back. That talking monkey, I call him Norm. He's going to come up and say, "Ha, told you do it every time. See, I told you. You might as well not even try." See, and that talking monkey in your head is kind of like the bully on the playground, right? You gotta step up to the bully on the playground and punch him in the nose one good time, right? You got to stand up to him and say, no, it's not going to happen this time. So my advice is to be kind to yourself. And it's not about self-judgment. It's not about that. It's not, see, I told you, you always do this. It's like, well, that may have been true. That may be a fact in the past, but the truth is I'm going to get back going today. Right. So it's all about awareness, not self-judgment. Yeah.
I like it. And then, you know what, maybe it'll take you 10 times to get to 14 days, but at least you're rinse, repeat. That, if nothing else, it's becoming that habit. You start with 2 days and then you fall off the wagon. Then you get to 4 and then you start over again. And I guess I love that. I love that more than just business, because it does work for those of you out there that say, I need to get in better shape. I want to run a 5K. I need to lose weight. I need to, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, this works. And so you can apply that across so many different areas of your life. We're
there.
good.
Man,
Yeah.
I fell off the wagon a bunch of times, right? It was like 5 or 6 or 7 times, right? So, yeah.
That kind of defines you though, right? I mean, how you overcome quote unquote failure. It's a strong word, but hey, if you set a challenge and you didn't meet it, well, essentially you failed, right? So I guess that goes kind of back to don't beat yourself up too bad, but get back on, right? Just jump right back on. And rather than being defeated, crawling into a hole and giving up, keep pushing forward. I love it. I love it. So another thing that we talked about that I mentioned in your intro and that is kind of in your bio is talking about ways to become world famous, which is a bold statement. And you and I talked about it before we went live here, which is interesting because I think when people hear that, I know what I thought, and you kind of corrected me, which was, we talk about lab coat agents all the time, become the digital mayor, become the digital celebrity. That's not what you mean by getting world famous necessarily. So why don't you explain what you mean and why that's relevant to real estate agents?
Yeah, 100%. So, so let me tell you where I got this from. So, my wife and I were going to fly out to Utah to run in a marathon out there, right? And we got on a plane, and you know how the plane in front of you, or the chair in front of you, they've got the magazines, And so I pull out the magazine, I'm flipping through it, and I come to this page that says top 10 world's greatest neurosurgeons. And then you flip the page, like top 10 world's greatest orthopedic surgeons, right? And there's several pages like that. And we get off the plane, and then we go to this restaurant, and the restaurant menu says world famous chicken and waffles. And, I apologize if any of you are out in Utah, but when I think of chicken and waffles, I don't think of Utah, but but it said world famous, and it may have been world famous, but it reminded me of a scene from Elf, where he's walking down the street and he does the double take and it says world's greatest cup of coffee, right? But I was like, you can say world famous, whatever. You can say world greatest, whatever, and there's not really any meaning to it. I want to be world famous, but I want to be world famous in the eyes of the people that know me best. World famous in the eyes of the people I come in contact with day in and day out. World famous in the eyes of the clients and the coaching clients and the businesses that I work with day in and day out, right? I want to be world famous in their eyes. And it's really taken on the attitude of it's those closest to me who love and respect me the most, right? And so kind of came up with 5 different ways to do that. One of them is choose your attitude. Your attitude is your choice. And I think it's important. So I was working with a young real estate agent the other day, and I asked him this question. I said, have you ever thought about being world famous? And he's like, no, I'm just a realtor, right? And I said, well, don't you think your clients at least deserve you to at least be striving to be world famous? And as long as you see yourself as just a realtor, that's all you ever be. But I think your clients deserve you to at least be striving. And one way is to choose your attitude, right? Your attitude is your choice. And we can't control the things people say to us or they say about us or the things they do to us, but our attitude is one thing we can control. And one of our oldest son, he came to me the other day and he was mad. Jeff, he was mad. He was crying, right? And he was so mad. You get so mad that little bottom lip starts to quiver, right? Mm-hmm. And his little bottom lip was quivering, and I asked him what was going on, and he said, Brady made me mad. And Brady's his 3-year-old little brother. And, I asked him what was going on. And basically, Brady had said something that made him mad. And I said, Colton, if somebody else can make you mad, and if somebody else can make you sad, or if somebody else can make you glad, then you've been had. If somebody else can make you sad, mad, or glad, you've been had, because what you've done is you've given somebody else power and control over the one thing you have control over, and that is your attitude. Your attitude is your choice, and you are far too valuable to be giving somebody else power over your attitude and your emotions. And it's the same with us, right? We're dealing with people. You're dealing with customers, and you've shown them 18 houses in the last day, right? And they can't find anything. They're complaining about everything. And at that point, you have to choose your attitude, and your attitude is your choice, right? So that's one of the ways. And then being fully present If you're going to add value to people, give them your time and your attention. And another one I'll kind of share with you real quick is exceeding expectations. So I'm here in North Mississippi, and there are, in a small town here, there are 500 agents. And as of right now, I think there are like 700 houses on the market. Think about that. 500 agents, 700 houses on the market. We've got a housing shortage. But you think about that.
Yep.
Yeah, right? And if there are 500 other agents, what is it about you that's going to separate you from everybody else? Like, what's your purple cow? How are you going to exceed the expectations of other people? Like, what's going to separate you? What's your differentiator? And anyway, so being world famous is really being world famous in the eyes of the people you serve day in and day out. And one of the quotes that kind of is the opposite of this, people say, don't ever meet your hero because you'll be disappointed. I don't ever want that to be said about me, so that's kind of where it comes from, Jeff.
I love that, man. And I would love to take that one slight step further because, everybody in the lab coat world knows Jeff as kind of a video influencer and a social media savant, if you will. All just self-taught stuff, right? I have no formal training on any of this stuff, but like you just said, like that becoming quote unquote world famous, it's kind of almost cliche in a way, but not, right? Because it's like what we teach on social media, and I hate to go down this rabbit hole because I do a lot, but I'm passionate about it. But social media, like the way it now is set up, and all of the platforms are so incredibly diluted, that you need to stop worrying about what to post and just post more of it, because the more you're seen, the more consistent you are, the more you're going to play the algorithm game, the more you're going to show up on those people's feeds, and the more you're going to be quote unquote world famous. And I share this with my audience all the time, that there's not a week that goes by that somebody doesn't say, man, I see you everywhere. Or man, you don't know me, but I feel like I know you. And things like that. And I think that goes back to this whole world famous quote, because it's deep. It's way deeper than just social media. Like you said, it's your attitude. It's positivity. It's, do people want to be around you because you bring them up? It's like the founder of LabCoatAgents, Tristan Ahumada. I know, Cory, you don't know him, but man, that guy's infectious. Like everybody who knows him that doesn't really know him, they just know him from social media, just knows that anytime they see Tristan, it's just like, he just lifts me up. He makes me feel good about myself. He's kind and he's a giver. And it's such a great example of what you should be in your business to be world famous, just by being like that, just by having the right attitude, just by delivering, a first class experience, even when the experience sucks, because sometimes we can't control it. Sometimes the lender drops the ball, or sometimes there's just issues with a property, or there's issues with a seller or a buyer, right? There's something you just can't control, but that doesn't mean you can't deliver a first class experience. You can't over communicate, and you can't calm them down, and you can't deliver a positive attitude. I love what you said there, and I hate to run with it, Cory, but it's so applicable, and it's awesome. I'm really glad that you shared that with us.
Well, two things on that, if it's all good, man. I love what you said about your passion, right? And that's another one. I've got my shirt on here, a world famous shirt, but that's another one, is find your passion, right? Man, people of passion stand out, right? I mean, you look around the world and there are people with this sourpuss look on their face, right? And the fuddy-duddy look, but people of passion, like you were talking about Tristan, they lift people up. John Maxwell talks about the elevator principle. There are people who can lift you up. You can be an elevator who lifts people up, or you can take people down, right? Yeah. Which one do you want to be? And on the other note right there, you can't control what the mortgage company is going to do. You can't control if somebody backs out of the deal. We've had that happen to us, and it's frustrating, right? And here's what I have to remind myself of, is I can't be attached to the outcome. I have to be attached to my participation. That's the only thing I can control. I can't control the outcome, so I'm not attached to that, but I am attached to my participation. And I love what you said right there, Jeff. That's good.
Well, you know what? You're bringing it out in me. So, it's just, I'm a passionate person in general, but, sometimes you just have good conversations with good people, and clearly you're one of those people, and you bring that out in people. And I think that's important. And that's a great segue to our audience to say, Cory, if they love what they've heard today and they want more from you, how do they find you? How can they follow you? How can they learn from you?
Yeah. See, so Jeff, I'm a cookies on the bottom shelf kind of guy, right? We got to keep it simple for me. So what I've done is I actually created a webpage for your listeners there, and they can go to CoryLeeLeadership.com, and Cory is CORY. So CoryLeeLeadership.com/LabCoat. And on there, I mean, I'm on all the social media sites. It's got the little buttons there. You can click that and those kind of things. But I've also got some information on a program we've designed for male entrepreneurs to grow their business. And then I've got 2 gifts I want to give you guys. So one of them is it's a personal assessment, right? You can go to that website and you can download that. It's just some questions to see how balanced your life is, not just your business, but your life. And then the other one is a spousal survey. It's a spousal survey. So for any of you that are married, it's got some questions on there. You can download it. You give it to your spouse. You let them fill it out. And it's designed to create and facilitate good communications, because I'll be honest with you too. One of the things that I'm passionate about is I believe this world needs leaders who operate from a pure heart, from a pure, pure motives, to operate at a high level, to be pursuing high levels of leadership. But I also think this world needs the family unit. And part of that comes back to having good communication. And anyway, that spousal survey is on there. Should have some great communication with that. So that's for your listeners. They can go download that if they want to at CoryLeeLeadership.com/LabCoat.
Is it dash or /?
/. Yes. Sorry.
And is it LabCoat or LabCoats?
LabCoat.
Coat with no S, not plural.
Yeah, no S, plural.
So,
sorry.
Cory Lee Leadership. Cory is just CoryLee leadership.com /LabCoat. This is pretty cool, Cory. I'm going to have to go check that out because, Lord knows we all could use improvement in our relationship world. I don't care who you are. And if you're not in a relationship, maybe it could help you find one. I don't know. But dude, this has been fantastic. So is there any parting words or parting thoughts that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, man. Jeff, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And my goal is I hope this has added value to you. And one last thing I guess I would say is that anytime you're doing anything, you're trading your life away, right? So as you're listening to this podcast, you're literally trading your life to be here. And I know Jeff hopes the same thing, that this has been a worthy trade of your time. And be intentional with your time is the last thing I would say. Yeah.
I love it, man. Absolutely. Or do like me. And when I listen to podcasts or listen to education, it's when I'm working out. So it's a good trade because it's like, all right, I need to listen to a podcast, but I don't like to just do it just without, with just normal time. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go for a bike ride. I'm going to go for whatever. I'm going to go work out in the gym, or if I'm, driving or I'm traveling, you listen to them then. Be intentional with your time as well. So Cory, this has been fantastic. I appreciate it. One more time, it's CoryLeeLeadership.com /LabCoat. He's got a couple of fun little free, gifts we could call them, but also, it's something that you're going to gain something from. So Cory, I really appreciate you doing that for our audience. I appreciate you being on today. This has been fantastic. Are you on, I guess you're on the Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all those platforms?
On all of them. Yes, sir. Every
Awesome.
one of them.
Awesome.
Cory Lee.
Cory Lee. Awesome. Well, this has been great, Cory. I really appreciate you. This has been fun and great to hang out. I hope your Cubs do not have a good season, a good partial season as it may. And it's been great to connect, and hopefully we can stay in touch.
Thanks, Jeff. I've really enjoyed it, man.
Take care, brother.
LabCoatAgents Podcast.